He who fails to plan, plans to fail. This video is going to address the Alachua County K-12 school reopening plan. On March 13, 2020, Alachua County closed all their schools due to COVID. As families and educators tried to manage the unusual circumstance, there was also a pleading from the community for the district to address a plan for how the next school year would begin. Finally, the last day of June, Superintendent Karen Clark emailed the draft reopening plan to the public. Although a draft plan was appreciated, questions began to mount as the lack of details, specificity, and logistics within the reopening plan started to unfold. For example, how are teachers supposed to maintain social distancing in closed classroom environments, as well as maintain safe and sanitized environments for all? So when our teachers get sick, what's the plan? How will they use sick leave? What if they don't have enough sick leave days? What will they do to protect their family and their livelihood? COVID-related healthcare costs are averaging with hospital visits between $14,000 to $20,000 per visit. Teachers in Alachua County have an 80-20 coverage plan, so 20% of a $20,000 healthcare bill could set them back financially for years. This also doesn't take into account if something horrible happens and a teacher is not able to survive a COVID-related illness. Our teachers deserve better, and so do our families. We love technology. So before we begin, we would like to give a special thanks to Google, Grammarly, Adobe Acrobat, and inquisitive minds that searched out and shared their findings with us. Plagiarism is the fear of a blank page. This all started with the vague reopening plan. A concerned citizen decided to just enter the document into Grammarly after looking through Google for a while. Grammarly identified that 80% of this document came from one source. That source was the state of Georgia. Georgia's Department of Education and Department of Public Health collaborated and released on June 1st a state reopening plan for their schools. Our school district, 30 days later, released the 80% copy to the public for our county in the state of Florida. We used Adobe Acrobat to do a side-by-side comparison of the text. And as you can see, virtually every page is identical, minus slight modifications to the language and enormous modifications to the images and removing Georgia-related text. This is not acceptable. So we know that our district copied the Georgia plan because Georgia publicly released the plan on June 1st, 2020, whereas we received a draft plan June 30th, 2020. So first, we'll discuss plagiarism later. But if you are going to plagiarize a plan, could you pick a plan in our state from an actual school district and not something from the state level? Secondly, there are 67 counties in our state. Is it possible that none of them had something to start from for our district to use? Alachua County issued surveys to both families and teachers about reopening. The plan does not indicate that those survey results were utilized in any way. Why was that work wasted and time lost? Is this the best that our school district can do? During a time of a pandemic, is this acceptable for them to take another state's state-level plan and copy 80% of it in order to plan for reopening our schools and providing a safe space for our children and our families of this county? We as community advocates are continually asking ourselves exactly who is doing the hard work, because it feels as though the push to do better is coming from the community and not from within the district walls. For example, the lack of a district plan forced a group of citizens on June 19th to start a group of an Alachua County distance learning work group where they focused on the reopening plan. They created surveys, they polled teachers as well as parents and families, and they asked about the needs that these families had in order to have a safe reopening and to make sure that all families and all teachers were being considered. In an effort to gain the district's attention, this group also organized an open letter gathering signatures from the community. Families and teachers provided suggestions and concerns for the district to consider and implement in the reopening plan. The district has acknowledged frustrations and concerns with their reopening plan and the pressure in order to do it correctly. Yet, they seem to continually refuse community engagement. The plagiarized reopening plan is a slap in the face to all families and teachers who have really tried to engage the district in meaningful discussion to reopen our schools safely. The irony isn't lost on us that the previous superintendent, Dr. Roberts, was asked to step down from his position due to accusations of plagiarism from a book he had written prior to ever serving as the superintendent of Alachua County Public Schools. Although the plagiarism wasn't the only concern that the school board had at that time with Dr. Roberts, it was one of the leading reasons for why the leadership had failed, according to the school board. During Dr. Roberts' final evaluation on June 1, 2016, Dr. Paulson of the school board issued this quote, "The final issue leads us to our superintendent committing plagiarism, an extremely serious issue, especially when it involves the leader of an educational organization. It is not the example we want our students to see. It is also divisive, takes our focus once again off our main goal of providing quality education for our children. It makes it difficult for our administrators and teachers to stress what is right and what is wrong to our students. Whatever we come to as a resolution regarding this matter must take into account what we see as best for our community, school district, but most importantly, the children we serve." Yet here we are, where a document that would probably cover the most important moment of most of these individuals' career, and 80% of that document was plagiarized from a state other than Florida's plan. This wasn't plagiarism of a private individual. This was plagiarism of a publicly funded entity over a document that will ensure the health and well-being of our children and adults in our community. The community has been asking for an emergency or special meeting of the board to address the reopening. In light of now the newly founded plagiarism component, this need to have a special meeting or an emergency board meeting is paramount. The community deserves the best that this district can offer, and at this point, it is not there. In our comment section, we will link to documents that support this video. We also will link to the document that does a side-by-side comparison of the two plans.